Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report. And coming up on today's show, we're going to be looking at some players on the offense and on the defensive side of the football that flat out got to be able to step up. And it's not just stepping up in terms of they haven't played well this season. That's not it at all. To me, if I'm going to be that new head coach, if I'm going to be that new general manager, these next 5 games are the most important 5 games that I'm going to look at of what players could I potentially give a contract extension to? What free agents in 2024 do I want to re-sign? What players that are on the books that could be potentially cut? So when you think about all of that, that's what these next 5 games for this Raiders team are so freaking important, not only for the coaching staff, but for a lot of the dudes that might wonder, am I going to be a Raider next season? And anytime you got a new head coach or GM, that question should always be going through your mind. But when you look at the Raiders' remaining schedule, there's 5 games, and part of the equation is this. I want the Raiders to make the playoffs. I will never do this show with a tank mentality. And as long as the Raiders have a 1% chance to make the playoffs, I'm going to sit up here and I'm going to say there are certain dudes that have a great opportunity at hand that flat out need to go out and they need to prove it. They need to prove that they deserve to be on this team, but also need to step up so the Raiders can win some games. Now, what I don't want y'all to miss is we're going to be live for every single Raiders football game this season. Subscribe, turn on those notifications, so that way, when we go live, you don't miss it. We're going to be doing a Jim Plunkett jersey giveaway this week. We're going to be doing a whole bunch of stuff for Thursday Night Football, the Christmas game I'm excited for. If you want to just party with the nation, subscribe, join all of our watch parties. All right, let's go to the first player here that needs to step it up. To me, it's Dylan Parham, and you're going to see some names here that are part of that McDaniels-Ziegler regime. And I would say if you looked at the offensive line as a whole, and when I think of the starting offensive line, I think of Colton Miller, Dylan Parham, Andre James, Greg Van Rote, and Jermaine Eluemunor. To me, the lineman that's been the worst out of all those guys this season has been Dylan Parham. And yes, Parham was drafted by that old regime, but I mean, realistically, if he doesn't get a little bit better in the run blocking department, he is an undersized guard. Yes, he could potentially play a little center next season because Andre James is a free agent. But if I'm the Raiders, I try to do everything in my power to bring James back. And if you're Parham, nothing is given to you. I will admit, I am a little bit upset that Parham hasn't gotten better the way that I hoped that he was going to get better. From what I understand, I don't know if he's dealing with an injury. I don't anticipate that to be the case. Parham has shown that he is okay at times in pass blocking. Run blocking, though, he's a liability. And you see a lot of the big-time runs that the Raiders have success with are usually on that right side of the offensive line, not behind Parham. So, yes, I know that Parham has been a starting offensive lineman for the next 2 years. But to me, man, like, his hot seat, it's getting turned up a little bit. Let's go to another player here. It's Jermaine Eluemunor, and this one is more based on the fact that Eluemunor is going to be a free agent next offseason. Jermaine's next final 5 games could determine whether or not he is brought back to the Las Vegas Raiders. Do I think he gets as big of a contract as what he got last season? No, I don't anticipate that. And if you're Jermaine, maybe you try to go somewhere else. But to me, his offensive line ability where he can play tackle, he can play guard, that stuff does help you out a lot. And to be real with y'all, I don't think that he's appreciated nearly enough here, because he can also play left tackle. He can play every single position on that line, and he'd be happy to do so, probably minus center. So to me, if the Raiders want to make that playoff push, you need your right tackle to step up. You need your offensive lineman to play at a higher level. And yes, these PFF grades here are up on screen, and he's done a good job. But to me, the area where Jermaine really struggles is the costly penalty, the big-time momentum shift, right, where it seems like the Raiders are going in the right direction, and then all of a sudden, it's a back-breaking penalty. That's where Jermaine needs to clean it up. And whether he's going to be a Raider next season or not, these final 5 games could determine really whether or not he gets signed next offseason. Let's go to another offensive lineman here, and it's Thayer Munford. I don't know if Munford is going to get any chances to start the remainder of the year. If I'm the Raiders, though, I do want to see at least a little bit of extra work here from Munford. And the numbers that you see up here on screen, according to the PFF, at the 72.4 overall grade, he's been good against the run, but he's also been used as that 6th offensive lineman, and that's where I think that these numbers are a little bit boosted, because he's going up against a tight end compared to going up against the defensive end in the run blocking game where he's used the most. If he does get an opportunity, though, He's got to show it. He's a 7th-round pick in 2022. If you're the Raiders, you're hoping that if Jermaine Eluemunor doesn't come back next offseason, that you can rely on Munford to be your starting right tackle in the NFL. I don't know if that's really what you want. I don't know if that's what you should want. But to me, the Raiders are going to have a lot of offensive line questions. I mean, Jermaine Eluemunor, free agent. Greg Van Roten, going to be a free agent. Andre James, free agent. I mean, that's your entire right side. So Munford needs to prove every day in practice, and when he gets those game-playing opportunities, that the Raiders can rely on him to be a guy on that right side of the offensive line next season. Let's go to the quarterback position. It's probably the biggest one out there. It's Aidan O'Connell. And the reason why Aidan needs to step up is if the Raiders have any chance to make the playoffs, Aidan needs to play lights-out football. He needs to play the way that he did against Kansas City. Yes, I wanted a few more touchdowns. I think we all did. But that's the way Aidan needs to play. He needs to play turnover-free football. And then on top of that, if O'Connell plays great and the Raiders make the playoffs, he's going to be your starting quarterback next season. If Aidan struggles, there's going to be teams out there that wonder, is he just a backup or can he be a starter? If Aidan plays really, really well these next 5 games, it could change the entire direction of his entire NFL career. It literally could. And that's why Aidan needs to go out there and needs to step it up here. I got one more player on the offensive side of the football that, let's face it, needs to step it up. But what is your confidence level in Aidan O'Connell for the final 5 games of the season? This will be the pinned comment on today's show, and scale it from 1 to 10. 1 being, you are not confident in Aidan at all. 10, you are 100% sure that Aidan's going to ball and the Raiders are going to win their next 5 games. My answer here on O'Connell is I'm a 5. I know that Aidan can be a good quarterback. I don't know if Aidan can be a great quarterback. He's going to get a test, though. When you go up against Chargers, Chiefs, those 2 games, I need a quarterback that can show me that you can compete with Justin Herbert, that you can compete with Patrick Mahomes. And then in that Week 18 game, if you got a shot to make the playoffs and it comes down to that game, I want a quarterback that can sack up and go get it done. Aidan, I'm pulling for you, but my confidence level in you right now is about a 5. Let's go to the final player here that needs to step it up. It's Hunter Renfrow. And I know what the nation thinks about Renfrow, but we got to realize Renfrow hasn't been third in Renfrow in about 2 years. He wasn't very good last season, and I'm not just saying that because of McDaniels. He wasn't all that great last season. On top of that, I put him in my cut candidates list because to me, if I was running this organization, Renfrow would be a cut candidate post-June 1st because if you do a post-June 1st cut, you end up saving the majority of his contract. And if I can save close to $12 million by moving on from Renfrow post-June 1st, it's something that you at least have to entertain that idea. I like Renfrow. We like Renfrow. But if the Raiders don't use Hunter, why pay him again $11 million plus where you could cut him and save that $11 million? If Renfrow wants to prove to the nation that he deserves to come back next season, he's got to go out there and he's got to do a little bit more because what he's doing now isn't worth the money. And that's not always just on him. But he does need to play at a high level if the Raiders want to make the playoffs, and he needs to be able to play at a high level if he wants to be brought back next year. Coming up next here on the show, I got some defenders that need to step it up here for the Las Vegas Raiders, and I decided to sprinkle in a few extra names as well because I figured it was the right way to do it because with a new regime, you got to talk about the players that the old regime drafted in. I'll tell you which guys in that old regime I'm putting on the hot seat. But if you don't already know, man, there is one place to go and one place only when you're looking for tickets, whether it's to football games, whether it's to a baseball game, whether it's to a basketball game, hockey game, concerts, theater, and a whole lot more. Shout out to today's sponsor, Game Time. Buying tickets to your favorite events, it shouldn't be stressful. Snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. And I know a lot of y'all probably don't know what to get mom and dad, maybe don't know what to get your significant other for the holidays. Anytime I've ever bought my dad, Alex's parents, heck, even Alex, a gift on Game Time where it's something that we can go and we can experience it together, it's a slam dunk gift every single time. And you guys can go download the app right now. Just use promo code RaidersChat for $20 off. And one of the things that I've just recently discovered that I love that Game Time does is they actually have a section for $50 and under. I mean, it's during the holiday season, right? Everybody's trying to save up some money. Everybody's pinching a few pennies together. But, If I told you you could go to a concert, a comedy, and everything in that section is $50 or less, you're probably pretty interested. So if I said a few good things and you're like, you know what, that is a really cool Christmas idea. It's a really good Hanukkah idea. It's a really good holiday gift idea. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code RaidersChat for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code RaidersChat for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. That link's going to be available to you guys down in the comments and down in the description of today's show. All right, let's look at the draft class by McDaniels and Ziegler. And you're not going to see every single player because certain guys deserve to be on this list. Now, I already talked about Dylan Parham, so you're not going to see him on here. But Zamir White, to me, he's a cut candidate because he has not been good. Matthew Butler, currently on the practice squad. We know what the practice squad means to Antonio Pierce. So if you're Matthew Butler, man, you got to step it up. Brittain Brown, your ass is getting cut. Tyree Wilson, he's obviously not going to get cut. And I say that because the Raiders did cut Alex Leatherwood before when a new regime came in. Tyree Wilson's not getting cut, but he does need to start putting up some numbers here the final 5 weeks to just calm down Raider Nation, though I always anticipated that his first year was going to be pretty slow. Byron Young, third-round defensive tackle. To me, his job's not 100% safe. Trey Tucker's not going anywhere. He's too talented, but I do want to see more out of him. And if you see more out of Trey Tucker down the stretch, that's going to put Hunter Renfrow in an interesting spot. Jacorian Bennett in that corner. Dude definitely needs to step up. Chris Smith, Amari Burney, Nesta Jade Severa, all of these guys, if they want to assure themselves that they have a job next season, your regime's gone. Time to step it up these final 5 weeks in the game or on the practice field. Let's now go to the defensive side of the football here, and the first player that I'm going to bring up is a dude that he has a great opportunity in front of him, and it's Amik Robertson. When the Raiders moved on from Marcus Peters, okay, I almost looked at that as like, all right, Amik, do you want to prove to the Raiders, do you want to prove to the entire NFL that you can go out there and you can be a reliable starting corner in the NFL? He has the opportunity to do it right now. He's going to be a free agent this offseason. I told everybody in last week's show that I would bring back Amik. I would figure out a way to re-sign him. However, there's going to be teams looking to bring him in. When you look at his coverage grade, according to PFF, it's a 58.1. However, the pass rating against him is 72.7. He's got 3 PBUs, 2 INTs, and to me, he's a dude that's going to go out there and he's always going to compete at a very high level. With that being said, though, I know what some people think of Amik Robertson that watch the show, and I know a lot of people, they also like him. So will Amik Robertson be on the Raiders next season? Yes or no? I'm looking down in the live chat like, is Jimmy Garoppolo on this list? No, Jimmy Garoppolo's not going to be on the team next year. Brandon Bolden not going to be on the team next year. Brian Hoyer not on the team, so I didn't even put those guys into the equation. To me, the players that need to step up are guys that either have a chance to be back, don't have a chance to be back, but are also going to help us actually win some football games this upcoming season. So will Amik be back on the Raiders next season? Yes? No? My answer is hopefully. I think I gave it 2 just win, baby, so it was a coin flip. If anybody wants to go see my predictions on all of the Raiders 2024 free agents and whether or not they are going to be back, I did make a video last week around it. Go check it out. It's got Josh Jacobs on the cover, and I break down the likelihood, the percentages of all the Raiders bringing back some of those free agents. And if you want to be able to find it, it's going to be in the comments. It's going to be in the description, and this is what the video looks like here. 2024 free agents. Find out which players I believe are the most likely and the least likely to be back on Las Vegas next season. Let's go to another dude here who's got big time in front of him. Jack Jones. Raiders moved on from Marcus Peters, same song and dance, but the only time Jones has been successful has been with Antonio Pierce. And if I'm an NFL team, I see that what he went through in New England. If he doesn't prove it in the next 5 games, I don't know if he's going to get another shot in the NFL. Like, that's a realistic conversation to have. Does he need to step it up for the Raiders? Of course he does. He's going to get his opportunities. But he also needs to step it up for himself, because if you fail these final 5 games, I don't know what team's going to give you a legitimate shot to make a 53-man roster. Jack Jones could spend the remainder of his entire career on a practice squad at best. Let's go to another player here. It's Bilal Nichols. And yes, Bilal's going to get signed to a certain team next year, but he has an opportunity now to be able to prove to Champ Kelly, be able to prove to Antonio Pierce, be able to prove to the Raiders, hey guys, I'd like to try to come back on this defensive tackle roster, because when he was signed to a 2-year, $9 million deal, I expected more. And Bilal has shown some flashes of good, but he's also has been pretty inconsistent in terms of being able to get after the quarterback, being able to stop the run. And this could be his final opportunity to get actually a halfway decent contract in free agency. I want Bilal to succeed. And for the Raiders to make the playoffs, you need a guy like Bilal Nichols. You need a guy like Jerry Tillery to step it the hell up. Let's go to this dude right here, Malcolm Koonce. And Malcolm has been playing a lot better than when anybody I really truly think thought. And he's getting better and better as the season goes on, which you know how much that means to me. His pressure rate is high. Yes, I still would like him to get an extra sack or two, but if the Raiders want to make the playoffs, you need Malcolm Koonce to continue to play at a high level. And on top of that, one of the players that I think could be an interesting extension candidate, and some people might disagree with it, but to me, if you extend Malcolm Koonce at the end of the season, you're going to get him on a much, much cheaper deal compared if you try to extend him at the end of next offseason. Because if I'm Malcolm, I try to go test the free agent waters. However, though, if he goes out and he balls out these next 5 games, he could get a contract extension very similar to what the Raiders gave Andre James, which was an unknown. It was a risk, but that risk ended up paying off. And if you're Las Vegas and you know that you don't want this guy to leave and you would like him to be a cheap, reliable defensive end on your roster for the next 2 to 3 years, then I would say he steps up these next few games, you give him a contract extension at the end of the year. Let's go to the final name here. It's this, Divine Deablo. Divine Deablo has been replaced easily by Robert Spillane, and Robert Spillane was hands down the best free agent signing that the Raiders have had this offseason. I saw an article earlier, I forget who ended up writing it, said Jacoby Myers was the best move the Raiders made all offseason. That's cap. It was Robert Spillane, and honestly, it's not all that close in free agency. But the reason why that puts Divine Deablo on the hot seat is, yes, he does still have 1 more year left. He has 1 more year left on his contract, but I've seen a lot from Divine, and it has been a roller coaster of a ride. Luke Masterson has outplayed him. Also, you have Amari Burney. Maybe you just decide to keep Amari Burney as your athlete, but you have Robert Spillane. Like, to me, that might put Divine Deablo as an odd man out as a potential guy that they don't end up keeping this offseason. If Divine wants to prove that he deserves to be a Raider next season, he needs to just flat out do it. And I hope that he can end up getting it done because the Raiders do need Divine Deablo to step it the hell up. So here you go. You get the final shots here, and all those defensive players that I mentioned. You know, it's so difficult to talk about the Raiders offseason right now because I don't know which guys are going to be around, right? Like, I don't know who's going to be the offensive coordinator. I don't know who's going to be the head coach. I don't know who the defensive coordinator is going to be. So do you want Patrick Graham back in 2024? Yes, no. This is really going to impact a lot of the dudes that we just talked about there on the defensive side of the football. So before I get out of here, give me some Raiders that need to step up because to me, Dylan Parham, Jermaine Eluemunor, Thayer Munford, y'all need to prove it for these final 5 games, for the Raiders winning, and for what's going to happen next offseason. Aidan O'Connell, man, I'm pulling for you because you can really change your entire life with 5 good games here. Hunter Renfrow, to me, he's a post-June first cut candidate, but I know the nation loves him. Then on the defensive side of the football, Amik Jack Jones, it's time for y'all to be able to prove it. Bilal Nichols, if you want to make a big-time payday, but the Raiders need him to step up. Malcolm Koonce, an extension candidate, and then Divine Deablo. But you know what? We also got to look at McDaniels and Ziegler's draft class because to me, these dudes need to step it up at practice, whether you're 53-man, whether you're on the practice squad. Your job is not solidified with the new regime that is coming in. And if you don't start proving it, I don't know where you're going to be next season. For anybody that wants to stay even more in tune with the Raiders, you can always hit me up on IG. You can always hit me up on Twitter as well at Mitchell Renz 365. And also, huge shout out to everybody for being patient in terms of I've been dealing with a little bit of a stomach flu here the past few days. Was able to come here on this live show, hang out with all y'all, and I appreciate everyone for always tuning into the show. Salute to you.